Ariel Helwani and Chael Sonnen today were having another one of their weekly, I think now monthly segments where Chael comes on the show and him and Ariel have a back and forth. I usually have the MMA hour on in the background while I'm doing things, whether it's, handling biz like a boss like I am these days, you understand what I'm saying? Or, I'm signing papers or, multi-million-dollar deals. You know what it is. Your boy does a lot of things outside of just making videos. But today, particularly, I had it on and I kept hearing that Chael was going to be on the show. And then when he actually came on the show, the fireworks went crazy. This was Ariel and the bad guy turned real. And we have to break all of it down. I know it's a long video, but we're going to take a look at every piece of it here. I don't even know who's right or wrong because I joined like halfway through the middle of this thing, so we're going to watch the entirety of it and determine who really got 10-7. Did Ariel come out the bag with another one, or did Chael Sonnen bring it to Helwani's front door and finally turn the tide? I don't have those answers, but it's time for the breakdown. Let's go.
There were so many haters. There were so many detractors. There were so many critics. There were so many people poo-pooing this event. And as is often the case, you are a thought leader. You're ahead of the curve. You are one of the very few that not only celebrated the event and thought Francis was going to shock the world, you were one of the few that put your reputation on the line and said this is an incredible stuff, incredible business, incredible theater, and he is actually going to do it. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, here's Chael back in July when the fight was announced, celebrating how great this was and putting his reputation on the line, saying that Francis is going to shock the world in this mega event. Take a look at this.
I will stand by this is the most lopsided sporting event.
Oh,
right?
okay. I see what's happening here. Let's take a timeout because I know what's going on. So if you guys didn't know what this entire back and forth was about, apparently this is the week that Ariel is letting everybody that said Francis made a massive mistake by leaving the UFC, fumbled the bag, however everybody wanted to talk about Francis walking away from the UFC and their offer with John and all the stuff that came with that. This is the week after what Francis did to Tyson Fury. Fair play. Francis shocked everyone. Me, everybody. Like, that was not something anyone believed outside of maybe Francis himself was going to happen. But Ariel has been doing the victory lap. I saw him on his show on, I think it was Monday. He was giving everybody their crow, and it looked like he's going to do this to Chael right now. And I don't know if Chael is in on it, which is probably why things go a little left down the road here. But he's showing Chael basically doing the opposite of what he kind of sarcastically opened the show by saying, yeah, Chael, you stood on your word. You put your reputation on the line. You said this was going to work. You said it was the best idea. You said, and that's the complete opposite of what Chael said.
Okay, I have to apologize. I think I had the wrong clip there. That's you actually shitting on the event and the fight. So maybe I got bad intel. Here you go. Here's the...
Dude, Chael, hey, listen, Chael does not look amused at all. This is what I'm saying. And again, Chael's a great worker. And what I mean is he studied at the foot of pro wrestling, promos, mannerisms, character work. This is how Uncle Chael and the bad guy was born. So I don't know if he thinks this is serious or not. But again, Ariel is basically bringing it to his front door. Like, you said this... What's up? I don't know, man. This is
crow,
crazy.
Chael. Here's the crow. I wanted to feed it to you. I'm going to feed it to the camera right here. The crow, if you'd like to eat it. Here it is, Chael. Eating the crow from Saturday. Here it is. Open big, Chael. Here it comes. The plane. There it is, Chael. Come on, Chael.
My
we
Lord.
shocked the world.
Well,
please, apologize.
Ariel.
Apologize.
Ariel, there will be no apology. You must understand. Let's tell the story the way that it happened. This was an incredibly big surprise. Like, this was an incredible performance by Francis. And if I was to put myself in his shoes or just other things that I've observed, while you talk about you've got thick skin or ice running through your veins, other people can't affect you. You're a human being. Sure that they could get in. I mean, there was nobody that believed that Francis could do well, but that wasn't a joke.
True.
I mean, that was Tyson Fury himself. That was John Fury himself. They weren't attempting to hype or build a fight. This was one of those situations where, and I do maintain, this was the biggest mismatched sporting event of my lifetime. But Ariel, that's what made this one of the great sporting events of my lifetime. And
that's all true, by the way. That's all true. Like, what Chael says to that point, going into the fight, before we saw it with our eyes, was what everyone believed. Now, it turned out to be the complete opposite than what on paper it should have been. But I don't know that anybody, like I said, outside of Francis and his team, was thinking that was about to happen.
This, from a business standpoint and the pay-per-view numbers, it bombed. But it did what people thought that it would do. It wasn't expected to be a great event. it turned out to be wildly competitive, and it was incredible. That's the accurate story. And if you want to heap praise on Francis and wonder if I'll contribute, of course I do. I was blown away.
So what Chael's basically is, I guess his argument here is the fact that what he was saying going into it, because it was looked at as so overly non-competitive, that this thing didn't generate the interest until after the event, looking back retroactively to say, wow, look what happened. I can tell you that I was super excited for this. But again, I'm a bit of a hardcore fan versus the casual viewing audience, which I think Chael is trying to refer to. Like, I don't think he's looking at the fight fans around the world, the ones that will tune in for Francis and Tyson regularly and saying no one was excited about this. I think people were excited about it, but I do think he's right that the casual fan is now looking back in excitement after seeing what Francis did.
Can you say now, though, in retrospect, and I know hindsight is 2020, that the decision to leave the UFC, the decision to sign with PFL, who allowed him to fight in boxing, to go after the Tyson Fury fight, to have this fight where he had it, on the night that he had it, all these things over the past year that so many people, including yourself, criticized him heavily for, can you now admit that he was right and everyone else was wrong?
No. But if he said he was, I would. If he came in and said, hey, Ariel, in this amount of time that I've set out, which was almost 2 years, I mean, it was 3 months shy of 2 years, so a year and 9 months. In that amount of time, statistically speaking, I would have had 4 fights within the UFC. Shave one off, I would have had 5 fights. Let's call it 4 with my new participation since I was champion. If I was to look at the number in terms of dollars, that would have been larger than what I got against Fury. It's one of those things. But if he came out and said, I don't care about the money, it was about competition, it was about proving something and living a dream, then I would fully listen to him.
He did say that.
So again, let's talk about this part. Chael says that he would say if it was about money, he wouldn't agree that Francis made the right decision leaving the UFC. I would actually agree because of the money. Because he made in one fight what potentially he could make in the time that Chael's saying he would not have had 4 fights, by the way. Because he was injured for a majority of that time until the re-signing came about. And then again, we can't really play Monday Morning Cop because John got injured, but I think he was probably going to have 2 or 3 fights in that time. But he would have made, again, according to Dana, those numbers have never been solidified, 8 to 10 million should he have beaten John Jones. He's going to make probably around 10 million losing to Tyson Fury. So I think that Chael probably a little off here.
I would not say anything negative about Francis or what he did. I'm part of the celebration party. But your message that this was a financial win, they're going to do it again. Just look, come on, man, you're not right.
Financial win for who? For Francis, yes. Let's say he made in the 10 to 20 million range, right, as has been reported. His last fight was 600K.
No. Well, hold on.
Let's say.
Hold on. Time out. No, you just lied. You just lied.
I did not.
And here we go. Okay, so let's see what happens here.
There's nobody that is. You just pulled me up on screen, which shows the internet. Pull that up. There's nobody, including a terrible dirt sheet, that has said 10 to 20 million.
Yeah.
Not to mention, how awful would they be? I mean, that's a vast prediction. That's 10 to 20 million is a 100% gap. 1 million to 1.5 is what a professional would do. And Ariel, in all fairness, he got $10 million. He's always said $10 million. No one's predicted 20 million. The pay-per-view bomb. Don't come out and lie. 10 million is a beautiful number. Tell the truth.
First of all, how do you know the pay-per-view bombed? A. Who's reporting that? How do you know?
Ariel, what do you mean, how do I know?
And exactly.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, how do I know about the 10 to 20 million? I'll play that same game too. You think I'm pulling shit out of my hat?
No. It's not a matter of that.
It is a matter of that. Yes, it is.
You said.
Oh boy, here we go. So now we're pointing the fingers. Now we're talking about who reported what and what's actually happening. Both these guys, and this is the interesting part about this, both of these guys have behind-the-scenes insight on what's actually happening behind Saudi's, monetary gain or loss, what Francis actually got paid, but neither of them are going to out who they got that information from, as they shouldn't, by the way. But they're both pointing the finger and going, well, how'd you get your information? How'd you get your information? They both have sources. Obviously, Chael works with ESPN, who put on the fight, so they're trying to call each other out for being the source that is saying the thing that is being reported or that is the truth, right? Ariel saying 10 to 20 million, Chael saying 10 million. They both got sources on it. Ariel's got sources on it, but no one wants to say where or how they got it.
No, it's not. Your words are what I'm challenging. You're the one that lied. And I said
Chael's
to you,
getting hot, dude.
I'm quoting.
Chael's getting hot. Look at him, dude. The fucking veins are bulging out. He's getting pissed.
You could bring up dog crap off the internet. I'll accept it. Pull it up. It's not been reported.
On this
you
show.
made that up or you misspoke.
On this
you
show.
said those
10
words.
to 20 million on this show. Now I'm asking you.
Oh,
Now,
Ariel,
what? Am I not a source? Can I not be
you
a
said
source?
it's been reported.
On this
you said
show.
it's been reported.
On
By
the-
who?
Oh, Ariel did start the conversation by saying it's been reported that he made 10 to 20 million, but Ariel is the one that reported it. Okay.
Me, the greatest of all time.
Oh,
What are you talking about? I got
10
13.
to 20 million?
Yes.
You're like one of those weirdos that tell us dinosaurs lived between 10 million and 100 million years ago. You can't give yourself a gap of 100%.
Well,
Let
it
me
depends
play
on the
same game.
pay-per-view.
Let me
It depends
play
on the
Let me
pay-per-view.
play the same game, and let me call myself breaking news. Let me play the same game.
Ooh.
Francis made between no money and infinite money, fighting Fury.
What are you talking
Oh,
about?
Chael, you should be
I'm saying-
reporter of the year.
Well, I have 13 trophies that say I'm the best reporter in this game. And so let me ask you.
Yo, it went from like a civil conversation to you're a liar and here's why, you freaking reporting nerd, and I am the best in the world and this is why. Hold all this fucking hardware.
Reason why it's 10 to 20.
Between 10 and 20 million.
Because of the pay-per-view cut. The pay-per-view cut. And that's why I'm asking you about the pay-per-view numbers and you saying they bombed. If they did bomb, then it's 11. If they didn't bomb, maybe it's 15.
sakes.
So then tell me, I gave you my source. Me. Now you tell me your source.
No, I called you out and you got caught lying.
I didn't
That's
get
what
caught.
just happened.
Who's
I
your
called
source
you
on the
out and
pay-per-view?
You got caught lying.
Who's your source on the
For
pay-per-view?
one. Second,
Well, first off, Ariel isn't his own source, right? He's the one that reported it, but he has a source that he got that number from. So he didn't give up his source. He gave up who said it, who reported it, which was him. I would assume that Ariel also knows how the pay-per-view did at this point. I'm sure he has enough context and enough contacts to say how it did, but we're playing like a little semantics game here.
secondly, Mr. Liar, for that to be a massive win, you know he got 10 million to show, and you know that full well. So you're discussing he could have got another 10 million in bonus point. I'm on Francis's side. I don't like how you're painting this picture. I'm attacking you saying things that aren't true. You're saying that there's up to a $10 million bonus.
Pay-per-view points. What don't you understand about
Ariel,
pay-per-view points?
Ariel,
Jesus
Ariel,
Christ.
I'll make a point here as somebody in this space that's made money in this space.
Woo!
So allow me to at least tell you this before you make things up. You're telling your audience that there was a potential 10, anywhere in between, potential 10 million in pay-per-view points. The size of that pay-per-view era would be record-setting. And let me just tell you something. History matters. There's not a pay-per-view, whether it was wrestling, whether it was motocross, whether it was a concert, whether it was fighting. There's not a
Hold on a second. When have you guys ever paid pay-per-view for motocross?
that is broken into the top 10, which this would have to do, that comes on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. In all fairness,
It's a fact.
I work for the company that put this out. I plan to watch the fight. I thought it was coming on at 7 p.m., like a regular time. I was in a text message with Kevin Iole on unrelated matters when he told me I got to go. The fight's coming on.
No.
So don't pretend.
In a million years,
Don't
why
pretend.
would a fight in Saudi Arabia happen at 7 p.m. Pacific time? What are you talking about?
You know where Abu Dhabi is?
Yes, I'm aware of where Abu Dhabi is. Yes.
Did you watch Volkanovski versus Islam a week before?
Yes, also happened in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knows. See, that's the problem
What
here.
is-
Chael, no, dude. I don't know why I'm like rooting for Chael because I'm not, but Chael is going against a master wordsmith at this point. Like Ariel has all of this info and Chael is just like running off the top of the dome with it. But to be honest, Chael's right. He had some momentum facts. He's right about a couple things. One, I think, is the amount of pay-per-view points that Francis would have had to have made to be anywhere close to the $20 million mark. And I know Ariel said it's between 10 and 20. That could, like Chael's saying, be a very generous estimation. It's probably not very close to 20 million because to be that, it would have to be top 10 or around that pay-per-views potentially ever in combat sports for him to get that kind of share as the B-side. So I agree with Chael on that. He's probably embellishing a little bit, Ariel is, on the 10 and 20 million. It's probably more like Ariel said a second ago, 11 million if they somehow profited on pay-per-view. But Chael, man, you gotta pick your battles. You had some momentum you were building, but you can't use the point that you were winning to then just subvert your own point.
For you to come out and pretend that just in bonus money, a guy got handed to. I mean, come on, Ariel.
It's so
You know
funny
that's
how
not
you're
what
spinning this because
You know
even
that's
if it
not
is
what
10 million, even if the pay-per-view truly did bomb and it is 10 million, that's still what? 15x what he made in his last UFC fight? And then here's the best part. People like you are saying, but it's not as much as what he would have made in the 3 fights prior. Of course, ignoring the fact that he tore his ACL and couldn't fight. Fine. What do you think he's...
That's a big factor right there. That's what I just said. This is the thing. You can say that, oh, over those 4 fights that Francis potentially may have had he continued winning, not to say that he wouldn't, but it's a fight. That is the number he would have had to have done over those amount of fights versus 1 fight over here. Business-wise, money-wise, it made sense. Made sense.
He's going to make in his next fight, Chael. You think he'll make 10 to 20 million for the next one? Or will it maybe be 30 to 40 million for his next one? What do you think he's going to make? Like, how can you continue? I saw you talk to MMA Junkie on Monday. You said he still fumbled the bag. Is that true? That was a misquote.
It's very hard.
It's a misquote,
right? It's very
right?
hard, Ariel. I don't think that you're this dumb. I think you're making TV.
Nah.
But it gets my sweat going. No, you're going to let me talk. When you come out and say stupid and reckless things, and you have people that are relying on you, you're going to let me talk. So you came out and you want to make believe the 10 million. My problem with you saying that he made more in this than he made in all of his UFC fights, my problem is that you use the word made. If you were to be honest and you were to say he got, I'm with you. When it's a loss, right? When it's charity or somebody gives it away, it's very difficult to say that you made it. I share that with you because you're asking me about his next fight. Why would you have that conversation?
Okay, I get what Chael's saying here. Chael's essentially going, listen, Francis did not generate enough money to have made $10 million. He was given $10 million out of Saudi money that they didn't care to lose to then go and have this fight in Saudi Arabia. I think this is what he means by the whole business argument, right? The mean streets of West Lynn, I'm starting to understand. Chael's essentially going, listen, in any other business, Francis and Tyson bomb and should not have profited any money to those fighters or anywhere near, I shouldn't say any, but anywhere near that number. I don't know that he's wrong about that, but I don't know that that's the argument that everyone made when saying, and I don't know that Chael even said this, but a lot of people were saying he fumbled the bag. You can't say Francis fumbled the bag when the bag was secured, like Ariel said, 5x fold just by signing the dotted line.
You're applying old rules to the new game, Chael. It's right there. The entity that you're speaking of is right there in front of you. They don't play by the same rules as everyone else.
No, they play by their own rules. They've made their own rules. And this is why a lot of sports are, one, scared, like sports leagues, scared of the potential of Riyadh and Saudi Arabia overtaking the sport. And two, the fact that they have become a major player in multiple sports as quickly as they have. They are making their own rules. And it's all based off one major rule, and that is money.
There's not a word of what you just said with the tone and narrative that you wanted to be interpreted that was correct. Your message since I've got on here today, Ariel, your message has been that this is good business, which would seep into somebody else's mind. I'm trying to let people know in terms of the norms, which were created before you and I, we didn't change them, created before you and I, one thing that the audience doesn't understand is promoters sign you to a minimum of 3 fights. And if your title fight is on the 3rd fight, it's not happening unless you do an extension, but there's a relevance and there's a reason for that. There's a reason the WBC sanctioned that fight, but wouldn't put up Fury's belt. They couldn't put it around Francis, who they didn't have under contract. It's a very standard of the industry. And to look at that fight.
That's a big point. That is a big point. I went right over my head with what Chael was trying to outline. And I will say, to push back, Chael, talking about the standards of boxing, he's right that that's why you sign guys for multiple fight deals and don't let them fight with their title on the way out should they win and be a free agent. But the UFC just did that with Francis. Francis was the sitting champion. He refused to re-sign. He fought for his title on the way out. He won, and that's how he got out of the UFC as the sitting champion. But what Chael's saying makes a lot of sense here. There's a reason why the WBC was there holding up a fake belt that they made a commemorative one for Francis and Tyson without putting the actual belt on the line. Because Francis can't be controlled should he win the actual belt.
And to know that it lost money the day of, you got to look at that and try to figure out why if you're trying to learn about the sport.
Which sport are we talking about? Because I know more about boxing than you do, because Devin Haney was a champion with Top Rank and left to go to Matchroom just now, and he's fighting on December 9th against Regis Prograis. So you're trying to explain to me about a sport that I actually know more than you. MMA, you can try to like bully me into this.
But he had to, damn, Ariel's going off. He had to leave and go to Matchroom to be able to sign those, right? With the good faith that he would come back as champion, right? With the good faith to Eddie and those guys to shake hands and say, I will be back. And he kept his word. He is back. But this is a little bit of a different situation. You can't guarantee that the WBC will ever get on board with Francis. Unless, like Ariel's saying, he goes and has another fight with Deontay Wilder, wins that, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we can rank him now. Now we can do that.
MMA, you can try to like bully me into this type of thing, but I actually know more than you in this world, Chael. I really do. And I will tell you once again that we are not saying on this program that every fighter should play by these rules, but we have the benefit of hindsight. We know how the Francis story played out. You were one of the guys who was saying this was a mistake. You turned the gun on the promotion. You screwed up, right? You've said that. But now we know how it played out. He rolled the dice and he won. Should Sean O'Malley do it? Probably not. Should Sean Strickland do it? Probably not. But this one lone wolf did it and won. So why can't we say that it worked out for him? I'm not talking about did it work out for Top Rank or Saudi. Francis Ngannou's a winner. Financial winner. Can you not concede that he financially won in this arrangement? Now that we saw the whole story play out, the whole arc.
Okay, now before Chael answers, this is what I assume Ariel brought Chael on the show to do. And I don't know, again, if Chael knew this, but Ariel has done this on Monday. He did it on his show, and he's basically did it all over Twitter and quote tweeting Dana. And I don't have any problem with it. I don't have any problem with Ariel saying, I told you so, to the people that doubted Francis Ngannou leaving. I have no problem with that. As long as it is on the behalf of Francis Ngannou and not Ariel Helwani, right? It doesn't need to be a Ariel, I told you so, this is my moment. It does need to be a this is Francis' moment. And I don't, and genuinely, I've, like I said, love Ariel, and he's a genuine dude. I don't think he's doing this to big up himself and say, look at me, I told you also. I think that he is the loudest voice in MMA and combat sports, particularly for this event on the MMA side. And if he doesn't do it, I don't know that people will remember what was said about Francis beforehand. So that's why I think he is so loud about this. I'm sure there is some personal vendetta that he wants to poke at. Maybe, I didn't know that there was one with Chael, but for sure with Dana and the UFC, and that's always going to be a case. But I do think him being the loudest voice in our side, the MMA side, I consider myself to that side more. I do think that it was okay that he let people know what happened.
We're talking about a celebration about the competitiveness. We're trying to figure out how we shock the world. We're trying to figure out what training it is. We're trying to figure out the problems with boxing. Why have we always believed you got to be a second-generation boxer to make it to the highest levels? Why do we believe to make Olympic teams you've got to be a teenager? It turns out you can be a 37-year-old with bad leg that only trained for a couple of years. I mean, it's a really...
Not with bad legs, with bad leg. We've gotten off topic here. I don't know what Chael's going on about here. I'm with him on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking the ride with him, but I forgot where we're supposed to be at in this conversation. Chael is taking me on a detour right now.
And I don't know why you keep trying to change the story and make it ugly about money. Francis had the money. That's not the story here. Had Francis gone down in the first round where the result would have been the same, he would have lost. He'd still be 0-1 and not boxing in his next match. Be the same, but he didn't do that. He went out there and competed. He tried to bring honor to himself. He tried to show that this dream could come true. That's the story of this fight. Your message is to try to tell other fighters and hedge them into going into that direction. Ariel, it's not true. It's not what you mean. You've stumbled over your own.
Yo, Chael's dancing on him. It's not true. Not what you mean. You're trying to hedge them through, take them back, exercise one way or another. Like he's dancing on Ariel right now.
Your own words here multiple times.
I've said it at the beginning of the show.
From a competitive standpoint, he exceeded expectations. From a financial standpoint, he met expectations. This was a loss.
Now you've got Eddie Hearn on his knees begging for him to fight Anthony Joshua.
Damn.
Now you've got Turkey in Saudi Arabia saying, I have an offer on the table. You think they want him back if he truly slipped on a banana peel on Saturday? No way do they want him back. You think PFL's trying to do a Deontay Wilder fight? No, they're having him fight Ante Delelli at the Hulu Theater in front of 6 people on ESPN Plus pay-per-view in front of 5 people. But now he's the most wanted man in combat sports because of what happened. That's what makes this a bigger deal financially.
I know Ariel's trying to make a point, but just fucking throws PFL under the bus to make it. God, fuck me, dude. The president was on Ariel's show yesterday. He's like, yeah, bro, would they rather have him do this or fight in front of nobody? Because that's what we could offer him.
That's what makes this a bigger deal financially. That's what makes this a success. How are you ignoring the what's to come? You're focusing on the storyline from May, June, and July. You're ignoring what's to come in 2024 for the most wanted man in combat sports. Why can't you concede that? Why can't you say that this man got it right? Why do you have to be such a company man all the time and say that anyone who walks away from the UFC is wrong? Why do you have to do that?
Now I'm attempting to explain to your audience who you daily mislead because you don't know any better. I'm here to smarten you. You don't have multiple suitors, but the reason is this. Multiple suitors operate on the same business model, which I must have you for 3 fights. Wilder and Francis aren't in a position to do that. I'm only sharing with your audience how rare this one thing was. You're taking them directions about the business you don't know.
You keep sticking to this 3.
Now, Ariel's gonna clap back here, but what he, I think, is going to say, and what Chael is doing here is he is taking things as concrete evidence that I don't know that Chael knows to be concrete evidence, right? When Chael is like, oh, and he may be right. I don't know that this is the case now with what, assuming Ariel's going to clap back and say, new Saudi money on the table. When he says Eddie Hearn wants to do a fight with Francis Ngannou and AJ, Eddie Hearn doesn't have to go, apparently, according to Ariel, and I don't know if this is true either. I'm going off both these guys firing at the fucking hip right now. It's a fucking six-shooter fest. Ariel's saying that Francis isn't under contract with the PFL until 2024, or at least he's under contract, but he doesn't have to fight over there, and they don't get any of his money until 2024. If that's the case, and it's not for a belt, and they just want to do an entertaining fight, because right now AJ doesn't have a belt, he isn't obligated, right? In any kind of fight, Eddie Hearn can make whatever he wants to make with him. Eddie Hearn can go to Saudi and work that deal that way. Saudi can go to Francis. Francis can go to Saudi. Francis can talk directly to Eddie Hearn. It's more of, can everybody get on the same page and do it in a way that satisfies Riyadh and the Saudis? That's really it. The 3-fight thing is what Chael's trying to introduce as a way that business has always been done, and he's right. For anybody that wants to make money, that runs combat sports business like an Eddie Hearn, again, the Saudis don't give a fuck about that. And if the fight can be made in Saudi, then all these points that Chael is making are moot. It can be done. What's the likelihood of it? I don't know. Does AJ even want to fight Francis Ngannou, or does he want to go fight another guy like Deontay Wilder, who he deems worthy to get him back to title contention? Does he want to just go ahead and fight Tyson Fury? But I think Chael's just a bit off when he's like, oh, you said it only can be done in Saudi, but Eddie Hearn lives in the UK, and they're not going to fight there. I think that he's being a bit obtuse on purpose when, again, I think he knows that now that this has already been done, even if it was rare, and he is right, it was super rare. I don't think it's ever happened like this before. But now that it has happened, you can, at least for Francis, bet on the fact that if they did it once, they can and potentially will do it again.
Francis is his own promoter. He can co-promote with anyone. He has his own promotion that he could co-promote with. And to your point...
Can he co-promote with the UFC, Ariel? Does he co-promote with the UFC?
Yeah. Whose fault is that?
Yeah,
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? But now we're talking about MMA, and you keep saying that the 3 biggest fights for him...
When Eddie Hearn was on your show, did he say he wanted to co-promote with Francis?
Absolutely.
Ariel?
He knows that he has to. He knows
said
that.
Those words because I watched the interview. Actually, he did it. When Don Davis was on your show, did he mention co-promoting, Ariel?
Yes, he did. He mentioned co-promoting with the UFC, but he's probably smart enough to know that that will never happen.
I mean, you came out, you tried to tell your audience that Francis is now a promoter. Really, Ariel, why don't you tell our audience the address of that office so they can swing by? Why don't you give them the phone number to Francis's secretary so they can set up a lunch?
Secretary?
Because he filled out a piece of paperwork and wrote promotions on it. I'm not turning on him. You're misleading, and you know it. You know there's not a production company. You know there's not cameras and lights. You know there's not distribution. You knew what you were saying. You lied to your own audience, and you got caught for the 4th time in 20 minutes.
How did I get caught?
Jeez, Chael. It's like Chael is holding Ariel to, like, word semantics. And maybe he needs to be, I guess, because he's the reporter and Chael's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you said this and you lied because this is not exactly what happened in the way that you said it would happen. Like, Chael is wordplay wise, Chael is crazy with it right now. He's going off. You know what I'm saying? As far as like inflection and the volume of it, he's going crazy. But the things that he's saying, I don't know that it make much sense to what Ariel's saying. Like they're arguing two different things. Chael's like, it's not going to do good business, and that Ariel's misleading people into thinking that it is. I don't know that that's the case. If Ariel's been saying they did stupid numbers and that every UFC fighter would benefit by going over to boxing and going somewhere else and doing stupid numbers with Saudi, then I'd be like, yeah, Chael's talking that shit here. But I don't know that Ariel said that.
Okay, let me ask you this. If Francis Ngannou fights in a boxing match next, does he have to sign with a promotion?
If he's going to do it by the standard.
No standard. No standard. Don't give me the standard bullshit.
Then no, of course he doesn't have to do it. No, John Jones doesn't have to fight. No.
Thank you.
Ariel, excuse me.
What? No, of course he doesn't.
Okay, well, Ariel shouldn't do that. Ariel shouldn't start raising the hands in victory like that. If it's a discussion, no one's winning, right? If they're doing the freaking back and forth, it's not a win, whatever.
He doesn't. He gets to play by his own rules.
That is beyond rude to cut your guest off before he makes his point.
Oh, okay.
That is beyond rude to claim
calling me
victory
a liar
before a
4
point
times
was made.
What are you talking about?
How could you be right if a sentence wasn't completed?
You just said no.
That is a dirty move.
You just said no.
That is a dirty move by you.
Go ahead.
Can John Jones
Here's where the emotion comes
fight
out.
somewhere else in MMA aside from the UFC next? The answer is yes. Yes, he can. you're of course going to push back and say, Chael, that's not our standard. Now they've got a contract. It's got exclusivity. We had Dana White on, and this is what he said. So you asked me a trick question. Can he box somewhere? Can he do it? Can we wake up on Mars? Every statement's true if you say the word can. And then you cut me off partway through. He cannot get signed and will not get signed by Eddie Hearn, by Bob Arum, by meaningful people within boxing who we would expect. It's like a guy says, I want to go and do WrestleMania. Well, if Vince won't sign you, I'm sure you can go do wrestling somewhere else. It's not the same thing that we're talking about. And the answer to your question is no. He will not get signed with your likely suspects if you don't have a multi-fight deal.
The question was, can Francis box again if he wants to? And Chael is answering he won't get signed to a standard 2-box again, 3-fight deal, yada, yada. Doesn't mean that he can't box again. But I guess, again, Chael is kind of interpreting the question the way he wants to answer it by saying he doesn't get to do what the industry standard says he could do, where Ariel says he doesn't care about signing 3-fight deals. He just wants to fight in boxing again, which he can do. I don't know why that this is hard to understand, but Ariel is just asking the question, and it's a pretty simple answer. Yes.
Your whole premise here is that he needs to sign with a promoter for 3 fights in order to...
Ariel, excuse me. This wasn't done through a promoter. It was done through an entity who openly lost money and was willing to do it. You keep changing the rules.
And why can't that be the next fight? Why can't that be the case for the next fight and Francis goes and laughs to the bank? They seem very happy to partake in this business arrangement.
Excuse me. I didn't know we were operating in make-believe world. I thought you brought an expert in me on, not to think about what could be, to talk about realistically per the standard of the industry that we operate in, what can be done.
He goes back to it again.
You say, well, could have Francis kicked him on Saturday? And I go, no, we can't kick him. It's against the rules. You go, yes, he could. He could have kicked him, but it would have cost him a point. It's like, yeah, I guess.
His
I guess you're right. I didn't
Sheik.
interpret the question like that. I've literally never had you be this kind of stupid before. I'm not using other people's words.
You keep insulting me. You keep insulting me to try to win this argument, and I keep proving you wrong and providing facts.
You haven't
His
proved
Excellency
it once yet,
Turkey
Ariel.
Al Sheik.
Why was the WBC title not up?
Because Francis...
Why did the Why did the WBC champion fight? Shut up. Why did the
okay, now this is where it got personal. Right here. That I don't care what you say. That's not Chael working, because that's in the moment. That's heat there.
Again, the part that I don't understand about your stance is you keep saying by the standard, by the standard. What I'm trying to tell you is the Saudis are a new standard. And so we had the gentleman who made this fight, Turkey Al Sheik, His Excellency. He came on the show. He demanded to be on the show on Monday from his palace in Saudi Arabia. He says, I see a lot of jabronis on the internet, but you're the one that I need to talk to because you're number one. You got 13 trophies that back up that statement.
Dang, Ariel flexing now again. Look at Chael's like, cool, bro. Sick flex. Again, little pot shots here from Ariel when he could probably diffuse the situation a little bit here. But he keeps going at Chael and showing him, yeah, you're on the number one show. So, you know what I'm saying? Don't take all this stuff I'm saying as just hearsay. I know what I'm talking about, so straighten up. And fair play. Listen, Ariel feels like he wants to defend himself here. All right.
And I have an offer on the table for Francis Ngannou to come back to Saudi Arabia. There it is. It's right there. From my show. Did you miss that part? Did you miss that segment? You keep quoting other segments and misinterpreting them. Did you miss that one? That was the biggest one. That's the most powerful man in combat sports right now.
Everything that you just laid out, while being accurate, is against standards of the industry. Somebody, if they wanted to be strategic, they wanted to sit down with a manager or an agent and or a promoter and try to lay out a viable and reasonable plan. Each thing that you said is one-offs. It's never happened before. And you're saying they're the new player and they're setting the new rules. If there was a consistency and they were going each a week and a person could make a living and have a job to do, I don't know that I would disagree with you. It'd still be a really weird point.
Why do you keep
that you would attempt
hanging on to the standard?
Considering it's 72 hours since it happened, it's not like you could possibly be an expert in it, but you are pretending to be. And it's kind of one of these really strange situations. So I'm not sure why you do it. I don't know if you're getting paid or you just feel like his nuts are better.
Whoa, yo, my God. Okay, now we're really shooting, buddy. You can't sit on the show and give the jerk off motion and this not be real. This is... Oh, my God. And I will agree with Chael on this. You can't call this the new rule set of the entire sport of boxing. You can't, right? Like, not yet. Because this has just been a one-off deal. Even though it was the biggest name in boxing, the biggest name in MMA, you're talking about a very isolated thing here. with Francis and Tyson, or Francis and name the other boxer that's willing to get in there with Francis and also has the backing of their promoter, potentially sanctioning bodies if this is going to be for a belt, which again, we don't know that that's even possible yet. But again, Chael is arguing that this, per the standard, meaning for everybody named, or excuse me, for everybody not named Francis Ngannou, this shit's not going to work. And to call it the standard, which I don't think that necessarily Ariel's doing, he is saying they play by their own rules, they are the new rule set, is incorrect. Yes, Chael is right about that. This is not the new standard. To see it happen going forward is only going to be with one guy, Francis.
Nothing about that plan that was wise to do. The competition is where the focus should be. The fact that the pay-per-view bombed, we shouldn't even mention.
So there's nothing about that plan that was wise to do. Again, Chael speaking business-wise is correct. Again, I don't think Ariel's arguing that Saudi is about to take the sport over financially because they don't give a fuck about making money. They have the finances to take the sport over, apparently, and do the things they're doing at the highest level with the biggest names without making money.
This is a celebration of the fight that happened, and it goes two ways, by the way. So if you're talking about from a competitive standpoint, that's the focus of this. You're choosing to try to mislead with an overarching theme of bringing down the promoters, which is what keeps you afloat. I just wish that you wouldn't do that. It's misleading, and it's not true.
How are you getting that?
It simply isn't true.
I said at the beginning of the show.
You even tried to make a comparison. As weird as this was, I let it go because you just said so many stupid things. But I even let it go where you try to say, and John Jones would have been hurt anyway and pulled off. John Jones got hurt a week ago for a fight that's 2 weeks from now, and the proposed match between Francis and John was 9 months ago. So it was just a weird thing that you did for a reason that I don't really know why you did it.
Francis, you think would have been 100% for that?
Probably not. Still
I don't
probably
think
would have fought.
Francis was 100% versus Fury, Ariel.
No,
We don't
True.
live on 100%.
He made the walk. He made the walk for that one. The point is, you keep.
That's my point.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Chael's point to Ariel is that Francis would have made the walk regardless if he was 100% or not. Ariel kind of walked himself into one here.
My point is he made the walk.
Yes,
Don't try to steal like all of a sudden you're a tough guy.
He made the walk, and I have thousands of hours of footage over the past 10 months of me saying Francis made the right call. You have thousands of hours of footage saying that he made the wrong call, and I believe ultimately what I'm taking away from this is that you can't say that you were wrong. You can't say that you were wrong. You can't admit for once
Ariel, what I'm
that you were
taking
wrong.
away is I can't believe how dishonest you're being. I happen to know those thousands of hours, and you spoke about it. When you said Francis did the right thing, you spoke purely from one perspective, which was business, which bombed.
That right there, that sums it up better than I could. I don't even know if I can say more than what Chael just said as a reason that he is so upset, and maybe people are so upset with Ariel's, approach to telling people about the success of Francis Ngannou here. And again, I don't know that Ariel's wrong for calling people out on saying this if they ended up being wrong. So I think that, what Chael just said, the point of view that Ariel took on things, while Ariel is 100% right, and financially for Francis, this was a success. Financially in general, it probably was. I don't think that Ariel's out of bounds to say, hey, can you acknowledge that this happened? But maybe, again, some of the tactics used in the beginning of the interview is not something I would have probably done. But it's Ariel holding people's feet to the fire for saying things about Francis that ultimately ended up not being true. They weren't liars for saying it, but it ultimately was not true.
You don't have the balls to come out and say it, so I'll say it for you. What you're trying to say is that I have a grudge against the UFC and Dana White, and that's why I'm trying to spin this into a narrative that Francis won. You danced around it. You almost tried to say it.
You think I didn't make that clear?
Oh, no, you didn't say it. You didn't say that. You didn't say that. You didn't quite say it.
When I said you think I danced around it,
you danced around it.
I called you flat the F out on it.
Nah.
What do you mean I danced?
Oh, okay. So again, Chael gets hot under the collar because now Ariel is making him say it. Now Ariel's got a little spice to him. This is, again, it's getting personal now. It's getting dicey, son.
But next time, do me a favor, Chael. Don't fucking be a don't be a fucking coward and dance around this shit. Say it to my face. Say it to my face like a man, because that's how I know you.
Jeez.
Say it to my face and say, no, Ariel, you have a vendetta. You have a bias against the UFC, and that's why you're doing this. Say it to my face. Grow a fucking pair. And I'll say to you, you have a bias and a vendetta against Francis, and you're a company man, and you work for ESPN, and you don't want to upset Big Bad Dana because he's done some really nice things to you over the years.
If your true intent, Ariel, with your big balls and all your courage, was to celebrate the $10 million that he got, which is all that he got, You would have done that 3 months ago when it was announced.
I did. I'll send you the clip.
Spirit of today,
I'll send you the clip.
Ariel, and the only reason your audience is still watching.
You're
the
lying.
reason Francis'
You're lying.
headlines
You're
today
lying, Chael.
doesn't
I
have to do
did.
with the money.
I did. I did it on July
It
11th.
has to do
You're a liar.
with the competitiveness.
Okay,
The
Chael.
only reason you're talking
You wanna
about
keep
a fight,
lying?
Ariel, you keep cutting me off.
Because you're
I
lying.
don't really understand
Chael,
why
you're
you do that.
lying. You are lying.
About what?
I
You
did
dumb son?
celebrate.
I would strangle
I
you
did.
if I was
Do
there.
it.
You come and talk to me mouthy like this,
Do
you
it.
little.
Do it.
Do it. Wait. And just when I didn't think it could get even more completely chaotic and personal between these two, Chael says, I'm going to strangle you.
This is like a scene out of your movie, No Job Diamonds.
Because I'm saying you didn't do something.
Wow.
If it turned out you did, by the way, it would make me wrong. It
Yes.
would mean that your buddies got it wrong. It wouldn't make it a
you're
lie.
saying it was
and
such-
you sure didn't invite me over here.
You're saying-
I sure was on with you 3 months ago. I've been on with you since this fight was signed, and you never celebrated it.
Yo, Chael's got a little bit of Trump to him, doesn't he?
If it turned out you did, by the way, it would make me wrong. It
Yes.
would mean that your buddies got it wrong. It wouldn't make it a
you're
lie.
saying it was
and
such-
you sure didn't
Right
invite
here.
me over here.
You're saying-
I sure was on with you 3 months ago. I've been on with you since this fight was signed, and you never celebrated it. You never talked about the money. And it
Oh
was
my
so
God.
rude what you've done to Francis here today, where you pretend to be his friend, talk about behind someone's back. I'm going to be a coward behind your back, but I almost come to blows with Francis face to face. Do you think those two stories go together, you little weasel?
What are you talking
Something
about?
else
You've
about it,
talked about
Ariel.
it on your YouTube
Something else-
channel.
Fuck that. Oh my God.
Tweeted on Saturday that you were at the event, and we just found out you weren't at the event. Was that not a lie, or
Did I say that to you today?
No,
Did I
but
say
there's
those words
a
to you
habit
today?
of lying.
Then how are you bringing it in?
Because you tweeted
How are you
that.
bringing it in?
So there's a habit. There's a habit.
But how
There's a
would you bring
precedent.
that in?
There's
We're
a
having a
history.
debate about today what we said. I didn't say these things.
Look at Ariel mocking him now with the hands. Damn.
What are you talking
Why
about?
would you bring that? Should I
Because
bring up things
if
that I
you
know
lied
about
about-
you outside of the interview?
No,
Is that what we should do to
Oh.
figure out who the weasel is versus who the tough guy is? Should we
Whoa.
start doing that to each other?
I didn't bring up a single thing that you
Why
haven't
don't
said
we just
publicly.
call it? Why don't we? This is the road to nowhere. There was
Jeez.
two things to observe. There was a competitiveness that was amazing.
It was.
There was a business side that wasn't viable. That's the truth. One wasn't viable, and one was surprisingly competitive. I came here to celebrate the good, not only with Francis, but with Tyson. You came here to tell a message to Dana White, which missed, like it always. I
What
gotta
is-
go. I hate hanging up. That's
Which
that's what
missed.
punks do.
Uh,
But I gotta go, man.
that's
You're
a weasel move.
disgusting.
That's
You're
a weasel move.
disgusting, and
That's
you're
a
weak,
weasel
Ariel.
move.
You're
That's a
disgusting
weasel
and
move.
weak.
Damn.
That's
You're a
I'll
weak-
stand here. You're
You're
trying
a weak
to
little
leave.
weasel.
You're trying to leave, and you
I'm
keep
not trying to
insulting
leave.
me. You
I
keep
got nowhere
insulting.
to go
Bring
with
on
you.
the insults.
He said you tried to come on here and send a message to Dana White, which missed like it always does. Damn.
Bring on the insults.
Lying, and then
Some
you called
friend.
me the liar.
Some friend. You did lie.
opened this by saying that it did 10 to 20 million, as reported. You could have said, I'm guessing, I think, but you didn't. You lied. This is your opening line. I'm not going back, Ariel, like you tried to do with things out of a different place that nobody here as your audience, our jury, can see. I went back to your first line.
Dude,
Your
Chael
opening
is sweating, son, profusely.
Lying to me, you lied.
Oh,
I
you're hanging.
called you out. You got caught lying. You said it did
Say it
10 to
again.
20, and you
It
said
did.
it was reported.
Yes, by
I'm
me.
leaving.
By
I'm
me.
leaving. I know
By
that's a
me.
punk move.
By
You're a punk
me.
and you're a little
By
weasel.
me.
Goodbye, Ariel.
Keep
Jeez.
insulting. Yeah, there he is. What a freaking bitch move that is. I'll throw an insult his way too.
But the overarching message of this thing was that these two guys were arguing two different things. Ariel came in trying to talk about the business of Francis, whereas Chael, after the video got played in his face, wanted to talk about the business of the event. As an event, I don't know that it did very well. In fact, it looks like from both these guys that it didn't. As a success for Francis, it looks like it was. So again, doesn't really matter which side of the fence you're on here. The fact that it got personal makes me sad because I like both of these guys and I didn't think they would get this crazy on a back and forth debate, talking personals and weasel and bitch and fuck you and crazy. But again, the energy was the way it was from the start of the interview because Ariel did want to give him a little shot to start. So was Chael right here? Was Ariel right here? Were either of them wrong? I don't have those answers as to who was right or wrong, but apparently Chael will be live in person in the studio. This is what Ariel said later in the show. So here on the channel, you know we'll break it down. I guess we'll find out.